Get ready. Woo! We are on tour, and we're doing it better than anybody else alive. It's so hard for me to sit back here in this studio looking at a guy out here hollering my name. When last year I spent more money on filmmaking and buying from one side of this world to the other than you make. You talk to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, jet ski, wheel dealer, limousine wearing, jet flying, son of a gun. Flying, son of a gun. And I'm having a hard time holding down this stuff.
Hey yo, it's that time in the show when we like to take a little survey. So is there anybody here that came to see that red hot black and white express? Survey says one more for the good guys.
Welcome to Fantasy Kingdom. I'm your host, Mikey. Riding with me up top, Howie. How we doing, brother?
I'm still a little butthurt from that Redskin game, but I'll be okay.
Woo!
Yes. I got to give props to Buffalo.
Soon you'll be wearing that hat next year, because for those that have followed along, Howie and I every year have a hat bet. And the last few years, Howie's been wearing a Bills hat at our live fantasy draft. So, fun time.
Got it out of the way early this year.
Yes, you did. And it was a rough game for you guys, but it happens. It happens. The best part is,
but in fantasy, I'm 3-0.
I am not. I have a really bad running back situation. I have 3 of my guys are on IR, so I'm just kind of trying to gut through the IR slot, get Taylor back, get Barkley back.
I think everybody out there has got running back issues. If you've got a fantasy team. I mean, myself, I started out with Eckler, and I'm running Algier and Jalen Warren. Please,
right?
Come on. Those are guys I didn't even draft.
Well,
I had to pick them up off the waiver wire for 6 points.
You also have the issues of like Derrick Henry's doing nothing for you.
Right.
I have Derrick Henry, and I've had him in our league for a long time, and he's being outsnapped by a backup.
Josh Jacobs.
No, he'll be Tyree Spear. Yeah,
no,
Josh Jacobs. Yeah,
there's another
Jacobs.
one.
Yeah, but he's not being He's not being snapped by his backup. He's just struggling.
Well.
Yeah, he's not. Najee Harris is another one.
Right.
Jalen Warren's starting to eat into his production.
This week he got more points than Najee.
Yeah, and he's starting to take more and more of the load week by week. So,
and these are guys you drafted early.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I hurt. Just like last year when I drafted Taylor first. Oh, that one hurt.
I drafted Taylor a little bit later because he's getting ready to come back, and hopefully they look better. I mean, I'll tell you, the Colts do look better this year than they did last year, which is a positive because Zach Moss is running on, doing actually pretty well for them.
Well, and you drafted him knowing you were going to be without him for a while. Hell, everybody who drafted him last year just went,
right?
It was like sucking wind.
And then I have Gibbs who looked good this week, 70 carries, 80 yards.
Not bad.
So there's other guys out there. You just have to try to find them and piece it together. I have not pieced it well. My fantasy coach might get fired soon. Play the right lineup, you dummy. So let's jump into this week's injury report. We watched Trayvon Diggs go down in practice, non-contact ACL injury. And I'll tell you that defense looked gutted by that. Like, they did not look the same at all.
Yeah, it had to be a mental thing because they're very deep in their defense anyway. And it's not like they beat him on Diggs' corner there.
Yeah.
They beat him in the running game.
But, yeah.
Which is where Dallas has shined.
Mm-hmm.
So But yeah, losing him, that's a heartbreaker if you're a Dallas fan.
Well, not only that, but he's one of the best man-to-man corners they have. They had 2 shutdown corners in
Right.
Diggs and Gilmore, and they were able to run man-to-man defenses and run lots of blitzes and do a lot of
Right, because
different
they can rely
attacks.
on them to
Mhm.
catch up the slack. Yeah.
Yeah, and
That
now
makes
you're
a big difference.
now you're down without one of your top corners. It's gonna be rough. So, prayers out to Trayvon. He gets healthy soon. Mike Williams, poor Mike Williams, man. Mike
Yeah,
Williams went
poor
down,
him.
and he went down in a heap.
He went right
torn-
down, grabbed his knee. As
Yeah.
soon as he went down, you could tell. And he had already gotten 25 points in that game.
Mm-hmm.
So
But every
that's a
year
big
that
deal.
guy just can't stay healthy. I feel bad for him. Now
He's
he's
my
long.
number 4 this on my receiver list. So I had to
Yep.
slap him on IR this morning.
Yep. So prayers up to Mike Williams. Hopefully he gets that surgery and gets back soon. We watched Derek Carr go down. Sprained shoulder is what they're calling it. So it's supposed to be like an AC joint to his non-throwing shoulder, which is good. It's his non-throwing shoulder. He'll probably be out a few weeks though. And then Jimmy G, which is in concussion protocol, which it looked really bad in fast motion. Yeah, it looked really bad in fast motion, and then they showed in slow motion. It didn't look like he hit him that hard, but when he went down, it looked nasty. And then he finished the game, and then the next day he had symptoms.
Well, that's what happens in concussions. A lot of times, a lot of times we see a guy get pulled off the field.
Mm-hmm.
He's not really feeling anything, but somebody up in the booth or somebody on the sidelines saw him go whack, wobble, wobble, and he comes off and hey, I feel great, and then the next day, oh man, they can't see straight, they're puking,
Well,
they can kill you.
Yeah, that happened to Justin Fields. DJ Moore, he was wobbly. DJ Moore grabbed him,
grabbed him, and took him off the field. I saw,
and they let him come back.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That you let him come back. I personally think Sam Howell got a concussion early in that game, but when he took that headshot by our defensive tackle after that run, he did not look the same after that.
Yeah, well, you got if he took a shot like that, you got to give him credit for not quitting.
I don't know if you saw the guy's arms; they were bruised from where he just got beat up all game long.
Oh, I've been getting phone calls from all over the country. Because I'm the only one anybody knows that's a Redskin fan. First of all, that in Syracuse. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. But you know what? Learning lessons for him. We'll move on. So those were the major injuries this week. Let's transition over to Howie's weekly waiver wire. What do you got on tap for us this week, Howie?
Well, with Mike Williams out, we're going back to the well in San Diego. You got
Los Angeles.
Yeah. the SoFi kids.
The SoFi kids. There we go. I like that.
You got Josh Palmer, who will probably pick up a little of the slack for him. He caught that cheap one late.
Mm-hmm.
You got Quentin Johnson, who's supposed to be their phenom. Just haven't seen much.
The
from
first
him.
round rookie.
Yeah. And then I've been pushing him. Mike even pushed this guy. A little bit of Donald Parham.
Yeah, love me some.
He got you 14 points on 2 catches.
Love me some Parham. He's a red zone monster.
Yeah, well, he's 6'8".
Yeah.
So, and he's a big guy, and so he gets the ball. One stride is like 6 feet.
Yep.
And if he jumps, he's up above the rim.
So, and I don't know if you saw his first touchdown when he threw his sidearm. He used every bit of his arm length and strong hand catch. And that's what you love to see.
Yeah. He turns right there and gives him the look, And so Parham. And then of course everybody's rushing to scoop up Devon Achane for his 51 points. And he's a good one to put stash on your roster. Just don't expect him to score any more than 16 to 18 points, I would say, each week. That was an anomaly. That was an anomaly in that game and everything. I mean, I don't see. I mean, I see Miami having weeks where they score 35 points, but a lot of that's going to be through the air, especially when Waddle gets back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying, you got Mostert, you got a Chan, you got Tyreek, you got Waddle.
Waddle. Mhm.
I'm not expecting him. I mean, this was a situation that just worked out, and they were way ahead in a game where me and Mike discussed it earlier. The heat on the field had to be devastating for Denver.
Yeah.
I mean, they were in full sun all day long, and going from mile high to sea level in close to 100-degree heat. Of course, they were quitting by the third quarter, and then all the subs got in, and that's where Devon got most of what he got. So I'm just saying, good pickup.
I do
He's
agree
going
with
to
you.
be in a two-man. He's going to be in a two-man,
Backfield.
But I'm not. I'm just saying, take him with a caveat. Don't expect him to get a huge game like that again. If you got Tyreek, you expect him to get a huge one every now and then. This guy, I expect him to be productive.
I would agree. However, I wouldn't expect him to get 16 to 18 a week. He is the number 2
Maybe
behind
less,
behind. Yeah, I would expect. I think that's his ceiling is 16 to 18. I think his floor could be down between 2 and 6, depending on who they're playing, because Mostert is the RB1 there.
Oh, and he proved it.
Yeah,
he went in and knocked out all those touchdowns, and then they said, "Okay, Devin, go ahead."
Yeah.
Last thing we want to do is get Mostert hurt.
I think Chan could be a stash. You pick him up now, you stash him, because Mostert never makes it through a full season.
And it's a long season.
And it's a long season. I think Chan's going to be more of a player down the line. He just hit big this week because they had the onslaught.
Yeah, the lucky thing for him is look at all the carries he gathered up, which might have taken him weeks to get in a regular situation as the backup. So that really helped him too.
Yep, I do agree. So who else you got on your list?
Okay, we got his first name is Spears. He's behind Tajay Spears.
Yeah,
he's behind Henry, and Henry's he's getting more carries than Henry, and Henry just hasn't either ignited or maybe father time always wins.
With Tajay Spears, he's seeing more snaps. He's not seeing more carries. Tajay is their third down running back, and
they've been behind.
Yeah, and then they're pass catching back, and they've been behind. So he's out snapping Henry right now. And he's seeing more touches than Henry, but not in the running game. They just haven't. They got in the lead one of the first 3 games, and Henry had a good game that week. The other 2 games they've been behind. They
got rid of AJ and they've never been the same. When they
got rid of curse of AJ Brown, like the curse of the Bambino.
Well, what did they get? What did they get in return for him? Not a lot.
Trayvon Burks.
Well, there you go.
So it is what it is. So who else you got on your list?
Okay, we got Tank Dell. I
love me some Tank Dell.
Yeah,
he's him and Stroud have this unnatural connection that happens with quarterbacks receivers so early.
Yeah,
like they have this real connection that is that's normally a longer term thing. A veteran receiver and a veteran quarterback get.
Right.
They have it very early, which is awesome to see. And Tank Dell is only picked up in about 31% of the leagues.
Right, and then to match right up with him is C.J. Stroud there because bye weeks are coming. So unless you're carrying 2 quarterbacks right now, he's a good one to stash. I mean, week 5, I'm looking at him. We'll see what happens.
C.J. Stroud also is like one of the top 5 fantasy quarterbacks right now. He's tearing it up. He has 0 interceptions. I think he's like 2nd or 3rd in the league in passing yards. Like it's crazy. Like CJ Stroud is someone you should be looking at. He's rostered in 20% of the leagues. His next 3 opponents are Pittsburgh, at Atlanta, at New Orleans. He has Nico Collins and Tank Dell, and then Pierce and Singletary are starting to come on. That offensive line's starting to get healthy.
Yeah.
So they're starting to get some of them back. Yeah. So it's someone you should really keep an eye on as CJ Stroud.
With Derek Carr down, you want to look at Jameis Winston if you need to.
Yep.
Let's see. Okay, I got a tight end if you need him.
Yep.
Ferguson from Dallas, and There's somebody else on here.
Yep. Luke Musgrave from Green
Luke
Bay.
Musgrave, yeah.
Yep.
And he plays Thursday, so if you're going to do it, you might as well, get on it tonight.
Yep. Luke Musgrave's owned in 18% of leagues. Jake Ferguson's owned in 41% of leagues. Jake Ferguson is probably the better play as he gets New England, San Francisco, and the Chargers. So he doesn't have great matchups, but New England's not great against tight ends. San Francisco's not great against tight ends. They have great defenses. They're not great against tight ends.
Yeah.
Then there's also a Julian Hill from Miami. He's zero. You saw him this last week. He has at Buffalo this week. Then he has the Giants in Carolina. He is not a major play pickup, but if you have a tight end that's going to come up on, you don't have backup tight end. If you're doing the add and drop strategy, he might be someone that could get you through a bye week.
Yeah.
So
okay, now with moving on with bye weeks, you might need a kicker here pretty quick. So Matt Gay is kicking the snot out of the ball
for Indy. Yeah. Indy's getting it. Their offense is functional this year. Well, it's not functional last year, but it's looking good this year.
He missed a 53-yarder the other day, but he got like 250 somethings and two long 49ers. I mean that's 18 points he scored.
So Matt Gay rostered in 9% of leagues.
Yeah.
His next three opponents are the Rams, the Titans, and then at Jacksonville. So he has favorable matchups too.
Right, and I like the kid from Dallas too, Aubrey.
Yeah,
his last name's Aubrey. He doesn't look like much. He's slight of build and stuff, but he's got such a smooth kick, and I haven't seen him miss yet. So
I don't think he has missed yet.
Yeah, And then now with my pickups for the week, I got this guy that ever since he came into the league, I've had him on a team every year for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And this year, I guess what was he rostered in 47% of teams right now?
47% of the leagues.
But I'll tell you what, the one term everybody hates for me to hear is I'm feeling Thielen.
Yeah,
I like me some Thielen. He's not just their end zone guy. They're using him everywhere. So go get him. He's good for another year. He was a walk-on when he first came out. He wasn't even drafted.
Yep. Then had a great career in Minnesota. His next three opponents
next game is Minnesota.
Yeah, his next three opponents: Minnesota, at Detroit, at Miami.
I love it.
So he has really good matchups. Then two guys who you would be surprised from a receiver standpoint: Romeo Doubs and Jalen Reed for the Packers. Romeo Doubs is only rostered in 41% of the leagues. He has Detroit, Vegas, and then a bye. So another guy, just my last one, Zay Jones. Zay Jones is rostered in 37% of the leagues. He has Atlanta, at Buffalo, and really it's in London, not at Buffalo. It's just a home game for Buffalo and London. And then at home against Indy. Any one of those guys. Then we have like Josh Downs is another one for Indy who seems to be getting better and better as the year goes. Minshew's looking good. He's only rostered in 2% of leagues. Josh Downs is. So those are just a few of mine that I had notated for that. Do you have any others on your list, or is that it?
Oh, I just touch bases on a couple. If you were worried about Justin Jefferson, looks like his only problem was he's got cramps. So maybe some Midol, he'll be better. and Patrick Mahomes, if you saw him get rolled up on today, they said he's feeling fine. He's probably okay. He's probably okay. And then the one that really concerns me is Austin Eckler. I don't even know if he was on the field today, but with a bye in week 5, there's a good chance they're going to set him for week 4 and 5, which means I lose him till week 6.
And hopefully he's better by week 6.
So that's a big hole to fill. And we mentioned a couple of running backs, but I'll tell you what, when you look at the running back line out there, there is nothing. There's nothing. I mean, you got 40 guys that are projected to get from 6 to 8 points.
Yeah.
How do you go out and try to win a week that way?
You got to hope your other guys hit, and this guy just gives you the average is what you're
Well,
hoping
I
for.
lucked out this week. I had Herbert and I had Hill, Olave, St. Brown, and my defense did okay. So, but other than that, I would have got killed, because my running backs got me like 14 points. And, and there's a lot of you out there with that same problem. So that's what I got.
So now we'll transition over to Mikey's weekly candidates. I do have a few out there that you can look at. Rashad Bateman, who is with Baltimore. Not feeling any of the Baltimore receivers. It looks, although they got rid of Greg Roman, that offense looks awfully similar. It's Mark Andrews and then Lamar Jackson running.
Yeah.
Antonio Gibson. He has a fumbling problem. It's just he's so talented, but man, he cannot hold on to the ball.
Yeah, I was hoping he'd be a decent backup to Brian Robinson, but I mean, last game everybody had troubles, but
yeah. Rashad Penny, it's Gainwell and Swift in that backfield. If you have Penny, you can go ahead and let him go.
Yeah.
Samaje Perine, he has done nothing in Denver. It's and then one of the ones that is a younger guy, Drake London. I just recently dropped him. He just doesn't see the target share. And until they get a better quarterback, Drake London is not fantasy relevant.
Yeah.
He had one good game in week 2, and that's because he caught a touchdown that saved it. But really, he's just not fantasy relevant at this point.
Yeah. Well, then there's that other heartbreaker on the team that people keep drafting and they don't get any production out of.
Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
Who shows up on our duds every week.
Every draft, since he came in the league, people are like, God, I gotta.
He has so much talent. He has so much talent. He just doesn't have a signal caller and someone to throw him the ball. A couple drop candidates with a chance of regret. Damian Harris for Buffalo. He's touchdown dependent at this point. James Cook looks like he's going to be the bell cow, and then you saw Latavius Murray at the end of that game get the garbage time touchdown. Juwan Howard or Jerron Johnson are the tight end that we fell in love with, Howie. I'm not seeing it right now.
Oh, Juwan Johnson.
Juwan Johnson from New Orleans.
Oh, I know. I think he got one catch the other day, and I used to think, wow, he's going to be good. But who's back on that team is the kid who was on
Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham. Yeah.
Jimmy's back now. I don't know why. Maybe they're having problems with Juwan because they've got Taysom Hill as a tight end also.
Yeah.
Mr. Switchblade.
And Kamara's getting ready to return, so he's going to get inserted in the passing game. You could probably drop Johnson. There is a chance you'll regret it, but there's a small chance. And the last one is Juju Smith-Schuster. I put him on the to-be-watched list last week. Juju just doesn't fit that offense. He just is not on the coach's radar. For whatever reason, they don't like him. He doesn't fit. He does not see the target shares. He's just taking up a roster spot.
Yeah, it's depressing when someone goes from darling to otherwise,
Yep.
Yeah.
Guys to keep an eye on. We talked about this one last week. Treylon Burks. We just recently talked about him in the AJ Brown issue. Johan Dotson. He's not getting the targets. I mean, he has so much talent. He looked so good at the end of last year. For whatever reason, this year he's just not seeing it. It's Samuel and McLaurin right now. Justin Fields. They're not running him. And that's what saved him last year. He won me a fantasy championship last year by running the ball. They're just not doing it.
Fields reminds me of Stroud when he first came out because it was like, ooh, we can do everything. And then we found out he can run. But hopefully Stroud won't catch that big a boo.
Yep. Rashid Shaheed.
New Orleans.
He's touchdown dependent. Keep an eye on him. I wouldn't drop him yet, but he's on that. And then JSN, Jackson Smith and the Jigba. I love the guy, and I'm gonna probably keep him on because I have a feeling it's gonna be a later year thing, not an early thing. But
if one of the other guys get hurt, maybe he'll get better more, and maybe they'll use him more later in the year. But every NFL team I know tends to go what works.
Yeah,
there's only one team that comes to the dance, and then halfway through it says, "Hey, let's dance with somebody else."
Who would that be? Who would that be?
They're red, white, and blue. They big old cow pies.
They wouldn't have a logo on my hat, would they?
Yeah, they do. I'll bang. Of course, I don't have a crowd to do this with, but
Yeah.
I love banging on your offensive coordinator. So
I know you do.
Yeah.
I know you do. So
those are great.
Yep, those are my weekly cut candidates. Who I would cut now, who you might have a little bit of regret with, and then who you should keep an eye on moving forward. So let's transition over to the Thursday night primetime players. Howie, who do we got on tap this Thursday?
Oh, we got a pretty good group of fantasy guys. For Detroit, you got Goff, of course. You got St. Brown. You got Sammy Laporta. You got Jamar Gibbs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and those are going to get you most of the work. Montgomery is still iffy, so
Okay.
I'm not sure about him. And then you got Reynolds and Raymond, who are also Rams. They're not somebody I'd go out and pick up, but you'll probably see them during the game. And then for Green Bay, you got Jordan Love, you got Romeo Doubs, you got Jalen Reed, who was one of my guys last week and had a good week.
Mm-hmm.
You got, after that, boy, it falls off tough. You got Musgrave, tight end. Yep. And that's the ones you're going to get the points from. A.J. Dillon, he will be the running back. I can't tell you what he's going to get,
A.J. Dillon is, and it was so weird, though, that A.J. Dillon's like that because the offense runs through Aaron Jones when he's there.
Such a great compliment to Aaron Jones.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're working together, it's like, it's like thunder and lightning. Mm-hmm. But when you've only got lightning and they know you're coming,
yeah,
that's awful tough. That's the problem of having a two-man backfield, and people get used to it. One guy, they just start stacking them up, So
yeah,
and then Watson and Jones, I have no idea when they're coming back.
It's not just Watson and Jones; they're without their left tackle. Bakhtiari's out. On the defensive side of the ball, they were without Jameer Alexander. So they have a lot of injuries going on right now.
They are riding the high though, off their home win.
Yeah, they fourth quarter comeback to win. I mean, granted, it happened after Carr left, but hey, it happens.
Hey,
football's football. You get that W.
It wasn't like they were that far ahead with Carr. I mean, it was a close game all the way, So
I mean, it was like they were up 17.
I think personally, once Winston came in, I got a whole bunch more points off of Olave. He seemed more comfortable with him.
Yeah.
So this week, if he comes back, I'm like, bring him on. I mean, whoever's got Kamara and Olave and Thomas, they'll probably get all the love this week.
Yeah.
Because that's who Winston's used to.
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
So, all right, Howie, you got anything else on your list?
Nope. I'm terrible predictions, but I'm going to pick Detroit in this one.
You know what? I'll go with Detroit in this one too. I like Detroit from a football standpoint. From a fantasy standpoint, it's a toss-up. What New Orleans defense do you get? Do you get the superstar A+ defense, or do you get the defense that we saw in the fourth quarter last week?
Well, wait a minute. This is Green Bay and Detroit.
Oh, yeah. That's what I meant.
If it was New Orleans, that would be way big.
But even Green Bay, what defense do you get?
That's true.
Do you get the Green Bay defense that shut them down in the second half of the game, or do you get the Green Bay that let them jump to a 17-point lead? What does that offense do for that defense? Because if we saw anything this last weekend, it's if that offense leaves that defense on the field for too long, like you look at the Miami game, you look at the Buffalo game, you look at the Kansas City game, like that, those defenses wear down quick if their offense can't do anything. So
you're not gonna have to worry about heat.
Yeah, true. No heat. All right, so this Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 Pacific, Howie and I will be back for our Sit Start live show. For Howie, I'm Mikey. We'll see you guys next time.
Later.